Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is here.
Good morning and welcome to this week's edition of The Mediator with me, your host, Brian West. Here to give you the top 8 headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. Now, as usual, give you the top 8 local headlines and developing news stories that made it first, followed by a movie clip, a skit, a trailer, or something that's going on in the community, or maybe some pictures. And then I'll give you the top 8 international headlines and developing news stories that made it. So let's waste no time, folks. Woo-wee! Let's get to it. Story number 1. Chaffin Driving School gets a grant. And promptly has a report published May 1st explaining how a state grant will assist Chaffin Career and Technical Center with a driver's education course at no cost to students. The school received $65,330 for the program. So story number 1 made it this week. Story number 2. Guess who won the spelling bee? Sheen Barron has a report published March 3rd. The report explains how a Canfield speller won the spelling bee. Daniela Lucille Paplarado took home the grand prize. Now, she was among 69 students in grades 3 to 8 who represented Mahoning and Trumbull County. Now, Maureen Bone took home the Columbiana County spelling bee. They both will travel to Washington, D.C. for the 100th annual Scripps National Spelling Bee. Story number 3. Another homicide to remember. Ed Runyon has a report published March 4th in what appears to be a homicide in Youngstown. Now, the article states that a man was shot in the parking lot at Vibes Bar on Lothian Boulevard. Now, the report goes on to say that the man died from the shooting. This would be the city's third homicide of 2025. Folks, the shooting is still being investigated. That's what story number 3 made it. Story number 4. He said he needed protection. If it's the solution to your problem, would you turn to a gun? That's the big question. Ed Runyon has a report published March 4th explaining how a Cheney student was caught with a gun because he felt he needed to protect himself. Now, this report echoes the question of how kids are getting access to guns and why they make the decision to do so, folks. The story made it in because such incidents keep surfing. That's why story number 4 made it this week. Story number 5. Why downtown parking remains a topic of discussion. David Skolnick has an update on the continued chatter centered around city parking. The report explains how the city plans to hire a company to enforce downtown parking. Why the city would hire someone to enforce and monitor street parking when people are already complaining about the lack of parking is what got this story in. Now, the report talks about how the city plans to they plan to put meterless. They plan to go meterless with a license plate based system with some paid kiosks. Now, this is after the city discontinued its contract with ABM Parking. That's why story number 5 made it. Story number 6. One local rep shoots for the family tax credit. David Skolnick has a report published March 4th explaining how State Rep Lauren McNally, a Democrat from Youngstown, is reintroducing a bill to provide tax credit for families and children. The bill would provide families with an annual benefit of up to $1,000 per child for newborns and $500 per child for those between 6 and 17 years old. Now, the report goes on to explain how families earning less than $65,000 a year would qualify for the full benefit amount, with lesser benefits for families earning between $65,000 and $85,000 annually. Now, the current state of the economy and the fact that a lot of families are still struggling is what got this story in. That's my story number 6. Also made it to the top 2 this week. Big B. Story number 7 of the top 2 local headlines and developing news stories that made this week for one thing with one goal, and that's to keep you informed so you could just have the angst, the anxiety, just to stay informed. If you don't get up this early, I do upload the show on the website on the screen. So if you don't get up this early, you can check it out, the show on Monday. I do upload it to our YouTube page on the website. Story number 7. Struthers gets $2.75 million. Keegan Warbley has a report published February 28th explaining how Struthers has been awarded a $2.75 million grant from the Ohio Department of Development. The grant is a statewide initiative designed to provide grants for the construction of redevelopment, for the construction or redevelopment of affordable owner-occupied single-family homes. Now, the report goes on to explain how the funding will facilitate the construction and sale of affordable homes to eligible buyers. This is addressing a critical need for housing in the community, folks. This is a word that was almost word for word in the report. That's why story number 7 also made it to the top this week. Big headline. Story number 8 in the top. Local headline and developing news story that made it this week for you. If you do want to show some support, it does not take much. All you do is visit the website on the screen, buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or to sponsor a program. Or you can stop by the store at 5648 Market Street in Boardman, Ohio. Story number 8, the Innovation Hub job hype. Yes, David Skolnick has a report published February 28th explaining how an innovation hub is expected to bolster the area's economy by creating 750 jobs. The $62.2 million project, which includes $27.2 million in state funding, is set to result in the creation of the Youngstown Innovation Hub for Aerospace and Defense. Now, the fact that this will bring jobs to the area while helping reduce the country's reliance on foreign manufacturing is what got this story in. This is according to Governor Mike DeWine. The report goes on to explain how the project was spearheaded by the Youngstown Business Incubator and America Makes. The report goes on to explain other funding received within the program. That's what's the rate made it this week. Well, folks, there are top 8 local headlines developing news stories that made this week. I'll be right back with the top 8 international headlines and developing news stories. So don't you go anywhere. You're the Mediator. Me, Brian West. I'll be right back.
Tune in and don't forget to subscribe to Method 8 Inc. YouTube channel. You can also watch free public entertainment. And don't forget to show some support by visiting www.method8inc.com by buying something, clicking something, watching something, or just reading something. You can also sponsor a program as well. That's www.method8inc.com. Buy stuff, watch stuff, or read stuff.
What does Method8inc.com Media Center have that I need?
Small prints, event consulting, photography, business consulting, technical consulting, entertainment consulting, fundraising advice, event videography, movies, news, publishing, media, books, entertainment, acting, broadcasting, public relations, access to the visual and performing arts, ink and black ink refills, audio recording, graphic design, theater, minor computer and cell phone repair, and they're located at 5648 Market Street in Boardman, Ohio from 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. every Monday through Friday. The list goes on and on.
Method8inc.com. Buy stuff, watch stuff, or read stuff.
Oh yeah! And yes, we are chipmunks.
The nature of a marauder is to obey their orders from the North Star Galaxy. No planet's leader has ever defeated their orderly during battle.
Who are you?
I'm the fighting princess. My planet and kingdom have been surrendered to the marauders.
Icky, get out, they're coming!
I am all that Escobar has left when it comes to order.
Who is the hidden force guiding Escobar?
Really gotta wonder why a guy like you has ended up in a place like this.
I need North Stardust, and as fast as possible.
A huge space rock just crashed in the middle of the backfield. Now when it crashed, little lightning bugs started spreading all over the crops. I don't know what's going on. We gotta go fix it.
I want to tell you that if you give me an army, I promise you that I will strengthen our weak plan.
I will make you what Vector cannot become.
I'm ready to fight to the death.
The stars are sending us a force to help us, but who or whatever they're sending, they're going to end up needing us more than we'll need them.
They're coming. We must prepare for battle.
Who's coming?
Look at Escobar now! Do you see what it has become? Weak!
I think I know how to end this.
Hey, are you alright? Hey, are you okay?
going? Where are you going? No!
The Land of Escobar Part 5. The Fighting Princess, the Hidden Kingdom, and the Mirror Stones. Welcome back. Now it's time to get to the top 8 international headlines and developing news stories that made this week. Folks, it is accounting season, and it's already, tax season. You know, accountants are busy, taxes are, people have to file their taxes, and it is already starting off rough, especially for guys like me. When you run a business day to day, this is what a lot of people are talking about. That's what the topic headed into March, which is the month for luck, and talks about, St. Patrick's Day. But this is a month where people also, they're preparing their taxes. And I overheard an accountant on the radio, and she was talking about how it gets so busy and how she's just discouraged. And you would think that people would be motivated, and getting ready and excited to be in business and accounting, but people are drained. She sounded like she was drained. And even I went to go file some of my taxes. I was wondering why my accountant had went missing, and I wanted to know what was going on. I mean, I was told that that they didn't even want to do my taxes because I lost some communications with some secretaries. So it's getting rough out here, but people are, you want to have faith in your institutions or business institutions, but a lot of them are struggling. And that's the topic, especially around this time of year, businesses are struggling, and you go in there and they're just sitting around and they're remembering the good old days and having discussions of taxes and how things used to be and how people used to come in with a smile, service with a smile, and so devoted and ready to get into the accounting businesses when they were in college, and how they used to have the tax classes, and they prepared their whole career for that one moment where they got to do somebody's taxes. And now those dreams are fading away because some people just can't pay the bills. If you don't have the money, you don't get served. You get put in the crippled pile of poor, broke, and out and naked, and they don't even want your money if you do have a little bit to spend. That's the new world we live in, where money, cash is king. And if you don't got it, you don't get served, and that's why a lot of people may be out on the streets. Story number 1. Let's get to these top stories. Let's waste no time, folks. Let's get to story number 1. So let's waste no time. Let me get to my routine. Let me get my suit and tie fixed and say, let's get to it. Story number 1. That's the proper way. Story number 1. With what prices will rise after tariffs? As we talk about these unusual times, CBS News has a report giving readers a list of what is set to rise in the tariffs war. Gasoline, vegetables, fruit, beef, beer, pork, grains, potatoes, even canola oil, and other foods are all set to rise. Now this is what got the story in the top 8 because prices are going up, and a lot of people just can't pay up in the system that we're so used to working so smoothly over the long periods of time, where businesses come and go, and cash is king is starting to become the biggest story. That's why story number 1 made it this week. Story number 2. Government shutdown is back in the headlines. CBS News has a headline explaining how the House GOP has pursued a stopgap measure to avoid a government shutdown. The measure would keep the government funded through September. The report goes on to explain high praises from Republicans, but the challenge now is drawing support from Democrats who did not seem to be very pleased with Trump's latest address to Congress. Is where story number 2 made it this week. Big B. Story number 3. American business owners are screaming for help again. NPR has a report focusing on what American business owners are bracing for when it comes to Trump tariffs. The report begins by explaining how business owners across the U.S. are worried that they will take the finishing blow in this already terrifying market. Now, the fact that morale and optimism continues to fade is what has such stories trending. That's my story number 3. Made it this week. Story number 4. The world economy could be in for another wild ride. Trump has got the world's attention with his trade war. Tariff war here. Now, CBS News has an entire report focusing on retaliation measures. Now, this story is causing shifting tides when it comes to living conditions and how people are managing their money. Now, the fact that everyone is preparing for the worst and cutting back is what got this story in. That's my story number 4 made it this week. Well, folks, are our top 4 international headlines developing news stories that made it this week. I'll be right back with the top 4, so don't you go anywhere. The Mediator, me, Bro West. I'll be right back.
Tune in to Method Ace YouTube channel to check out the top interviews that made it throughout the years and months. Visit method88.com. Check out all the community interviews if you want to check it out. Method88.com. Buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or just sponsor a program. Oh, yeah.
Welcome back. Now it's time to get to the top 4 international headlines and developing news stories that made this week. Folks, this week we're talking about business and the challenges faced by small business owners, big businesses, and how people are just, a lot of customers want a lot. When they see cheap, they see a cheap deal. Now, this is March. This is supposed to be the month of luck and St. Patrick and all that other stuff that comes along with the green goblins. But this is the month where businesses, everybody's preparing for tax season. So people are looking for cheap, And the crazy part about, I'm in the thrifting business, especially for the arts. And when people come into the store, you can stay there, everybody's looking for a deal now. And when they see something expensive, people get afraid, unless you have the means to pay for it. But folks, we're in for a treat because business owners are screaming for help in this economy. I mean, businesses are going under, closing down, filing for bankruptcy. And I'm not gonna lie, I've been in here. Sometimes I'm treading water, but as a business owner, you got to keep the ship afloat. And I called around to get some services done, and prices are pretty high. I mean, pretty high. You have to really dig deep. I mean, and people don't mind putting their prices high. I was calling a few places to get around, just getting some quotes, and one guy called to get some services done, some accounting services. He said, and I said, sir, could you tell me how much would it cost to estimate on just if I were to hire you to do some things for him? And he puckered up. Well, it would cost you $1,400 for that service. I said, now what would happen if I got 3 services combined? Well, no. Now at Method 8, I have packages. Packages when I offer services to the community, and I've tried to serve all classes, rich, poor, and middle class. So we have the or best offer sales, but some of these prices that you have to go through, especially when you have to get professional services, are non-negotiable. And folks, people wonder why things are getting so tough, and it doesn't look like it's going to get any better, but I'm an optimist. But people, this is a time where if you don't have the money, then it may, you may be doing some things you never saw yourself doing, selling your used socks out on the street with your sign. While traffic is riding by, you got your poor sign and you're trying to sell food stamps, folks. That's the scariest part of life, is it could happen to anybody, folks. Let's waste no time. As we're in March, it's the month of luck, prosperity, joy, and a hope for peace. Let's waste no time, folks. Woo-wee! Lord, please help. help us be blessed. Let's waste no time. Let's get to it. Story number 5. The war or peace climax. Yes. The fact that that Zelensky and Russia, the Zelensky and Russia saga could be reaching a climax after an interview with him and Trump lit up the headlines in what appears to be a desperate attempt to get Putin to the bargaining table is what it got the story in. Now, if you don't know, Zelensky is the president of Ukraine, the country, the little piece of the former Soviet Union that is now Ukraine, and now Russia is, they're at war with Russia. Small little piece of land, small little country at war with a big powerhouse like Russia. Now, the Washington Post has an entire piece homing in on the highly anticipated update after this story just popped headlines. Videos went viral of Trump and Zelensky getting into it in the White House. And not only that, J.D. Vance got a little bit of it too. Now, the proposal is to release prisoners and agree to a truce that would ban long-range attacks on civilian and enemy infrastructure. This is the proposal that was made by Zelensky to try to meet Trump's demands to try to get peace. Now, this is the offer that came after the Trump administration put pressure on Zelensky to strive for a peace deal. Now, the ultimate goal is to get Putin to the table for a deal to end a war that is sucking the life out of just about all the parties involved. Folks, this story is still developing. So story number 5 made it this week. Story number 6, the free trade concern. Axios has a report explaining how the UAW praises Trump's tariffs. The UAW president Sean Fawn labels free trade as a disaster. That's what he says. And this is a big endorsement because the UAW has about 1 million members. Now, the story shows a huge shift in an organization that usually supports Democrats. Now, what is interesting is that the data is showing that the auto industry will take a huge hit from these tariffs, which may result in some plants shutting down with the goals of bringing back jobs to the United States, which would reshape how a lot of car companies do business because they've been in bed with other countries that provide cheaper labor that have provided cheaper labor for a long time. So this is what the car companies have. Now, this story is still developing. That's what story number 6 also made to the top 2 this week. Big headline. Story number 7 in the top 2 international headlines and developing news stories that made it this week for you. One thing to keep you informed so you can have the goals, the aspirations, and the passion of knowing what's going on around you. Folks, if you do not get up this early, you can check out the show. I do upload to the website on Mondays after the airing of the show. So if you do not get up this early, you can check out the show during the week. If you want to get caught up on what's going on in the news, I do upload the top 8 to the website on Mondays. Story number 7, how the tariff game is playing out so far. Reuters has a report focusing on what is set to rise after Trump tariffs kick in. Gasoline prices were the main topic of concern in this report because they're set to rise in the coming weeks by 20 to 40 cents, according to the report. Now, the fact that the U.S. imports some 4 million barrels per day of Canadian oil is what has this story trending. If you did not know, the United States also imports over 450,000 barrels per day of Mexican oil. That's why story number 7 also made it to the top this week. Big headline. Story number 8 in the top international headline and developing news story that made it this week. Folks, I got dressed up for you. I got it here on time just to give you the top 8. Ooh. And if you do want to show some support, it does not take much. All you do is visit the website on the screen, buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or to sponsor a program, or you can stop at the store at 5648 Market Street in Boardman, Ohio, and see my smiling face. Buy something in the store. Story number 8, Trump tariffs dominate top headlines. Tariffs. In a time where you think people would be motivated to run a business, motivated to do the work and serve the people, motivated to serve their country. Folks, Trump's tariffs plans have been in top headlines, and they've made multiple, not just some, but multiple, probably quadruple headlines. Reuters has a report explaining how Trump plans to exempt some automakers from Canada, Mexico tariffs for 1 month, proving that whatever Trump is trying to achieve with the tariffs may be flexible. Now, this is all in the midst of 25% tariffs on Canada and Mexico for 1 month, as long as they comply with existing trade rules. Now, such stories continue to make headlines due to the fact that Americans are concerned about the continued rise in costs. That's not good. Now, there are also concerns that Trump claims that Trump's claims about drug being smuggled through the border may not be true. The article presents a 0.2% seizure rate of fentanyl as an example to say that what Trump is saying is basically just not true. But like I said, he's saying a lot of things, but you just got to fact check, folks. The story is still developing, especially at a time where people are having to raise families. There's a lot of single family homes. There's a lot of grandparents taking care of children. There's not too many orphanages. So people are just very in a time where there's not a lot of empathy, and people need money, and they're cutting programs, cutting people off of aid that have been on aid for a while. So things are changing. This story made it to the top this week. I'm sure you can understand why it made it to the top. Well, folks, those are our top 8 local and international headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. I hope you got something out of today's program. I always get something out of doing the research. As usual, I thank all the news outlets and journalists, people on the front lines. You deserve all the credit. I'm just a mediator, the man in the middle, navigating your stories in an effort with the goal to try to keep people informed, at least to know what's going on. Well, folks, I am out of here. I hope you enjoy your week. And if you do want to show some support, doesn't take much. All you do is visit the website on the screen, buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or just sponsor a program. Or you can stop at the store at 5648 Market Street in Boardman, Ohio to see my smiling face. Well, folks, I am out of here. I'll be back next week looking through over 200 or more stories just to keep you informed. Thank you for tuning in to The Mediator with me, Brian West. Peace.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is here.